What is up? It is a brand new year. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Chad Prather Show. It is 2025. Man, I don't know. I'll tell you, we're going to get into so much stuff today. But before we do, I got to say, I hope everybody had a great new year, had a great Christmas. A lot of people wanted to know if I was okay, wanted to know if I was alive, wanted to know what in the world was going on with me because they had not heard from me in a while. And I said, we kind of like to take a couple of weeks off there at the end of the year. And wouldn't you know it, everything and anything that could happen has happened. And we're going to break down some of those things and tell you what really happened as though we know. I'm not sure that we do, but our speculation and guesses are going to be just as good as everybody else's, dadgummit. And so I'm excited to be back. Before we go any further, let me remind everybody, go to where podcasts are offered. Leave us a rating and review. 5 stars is what we deserve. And you can tell me anything you want to tell me. We got a lot of changes that are going on. Of course, as you know, we are a part of the Dear America Media family now. On every morning with Graham Allen and his fantastic morning show. I think we had about 20,000 live active viewers that were watching the program this morning. So tune in and watch us at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. You can watch it right here on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, X, all the places. We encourage everybody to jump over on Rumble and join the live chat and be a part of it. This show is streaming not only on the Chad Prather Rumble, but also on Graham Allen's Rumble. So we're doing this thing together. It's a powerful thing, and we love the community that is being built with the Dear America Media Network as we move into this brand new year, folks. I will be in Louisville, Kentucky, weather permitting. Everybody keeps warning me. They're saying, oh, man, it's going to be ice and snow on top of ice and snow. You're not going to make it in. And if you get in, you're not going to make it out. But as it stands now, we plan to be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, 5 shows in 3 nights this coming weekend at the Louisville Comedy Club. So get your tickets, brave the weather, don't be a wuss, and come hang out with us. I'm so glad to be back. So glad to be back. Before we go any further, let me tell all of you to help us out, man. I want to welcome a brand new, they're an old partner, but they're a brand new partner all over again. They're back on the show. Our old friends over at Birch Gold. If you have that retirement account, maybe you got out, left a business, left a company or whatever, and you got that IRA that's sitting there not doing anything, you need to back it up with precious metals, gold and silver. It is the time-tested, true standard for all current. Make sure that you are invested in those precious metals. You can do that and get a free education from the folks over at Birch Gold with absolutely no obligation if you just text CHAD, I spell it Chad, to 989898. Get in touch with those folks over there. And you know what? Even if you're not ready yet to do anything with your retirement account, go ahead and text them. Get that free information. They will send you the brochures that you need. They will get you all the educational information that you need because you know what? You better do something with your money. Right now, it is a volatile time. As you know, Trump is coming into office. He just got certified by Kamala Harris. We'll make fun of her in a moment. But make sure that your secure investments are actually secure. Text Chad to 989898 and talk to my good friends over at Birch Gold. Let them send you some information. All right. The hostess with the mostest is back, baby. I love being here, and I've missed this guy so much. The world's mostest favorite producer, Royce, is in the house. Royce is here, everybody.
I'm back.
Dude, look at that shaved face. You look like a... You look like a
baby.
You do.
You look like a baby.
Yeah, like a little baby. I tell you, you're handsome. You're handsome. My mother loves you. She said she loves you. Got pretty eyes. She's got pretty eyes.
Your mother does like my eyes. I think that's hilarious.
I know, man. And I have missed you, buddy. I had an opportunity to see you while I was in Florida in December. And so, dude, good New Year. Everything was good
Great
for you.
New Year. Fantastic show, by the way. If anybody's watching and they've not seen Chad live, go do it. It's hilarious. Me and my wife had a great time. But a great New Year's. Had a great Christmas.
Good.
Jesse's great too. He was funny.
Jesse will make your wife blush, but come on anyway.
He will, that's for sure.
Yeah. Lots going on. I want to get right into it, and I want to bring on our special guest. Those of you who are part of the Dear America family, you know him very well. He is the host of The Hot Seat. Bring on Todd, baby. Todd Spears in the house. What's up,
Man,
baby?
dude,
What's
what
up?
is, dude? How lucky am I? I get to hang out with the Chad Prather twice in one day. In one day.
Let me put Chad in the middle here. There we go.
So Todd, how you got the hot seat? How long have you known Graham Allen?
Oh my God. I've known Graham since he was probably 8. Like, you know, we came from the same small town here in Mississippi. I think I met him when he was 8, which I'm a few years older than he is. And then I didn't meet him again until he was dating my sister when I was 19. So we've known each other a long time. Served together in the Army.
Did you like him back then?
Oh,
when he
yeah.
was dating your sister?
He's a lot different. Like, the Graham y'all all know is not the Graham that I met. Like, believe it or not, very timid, very quiet. You know, not the confident guy, especially size-wise. Like, he was skinny,
little
timid.
wormy nerd.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But no.
Hey, that's me right now.
Long time. Known him and Alyssa a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, you know, Graham is a unique character. I was telling someone yesterday who was asking about, you know, Graham and his show, and they followed Graham for a long time. And they were texting me, and I said, it's funny because Graham is very loud, very boisterous on the show, but he's not that way in real life. And I'm a little more reserved on the show. We're the exact opposite in real life. I'm more extroverted and outgoing. Graham's a lot more introverted. He's very protective of his time and his space, and you got to appreciate that about the guy. But, man, we're doing a great thing, Todd. I mean, we're doing a great thing, dude.
Man, just the fact that y'all, I'm kind of like the trailer. You know, you guys are like the big Mack truck. I'm just happy to be a part of the choo-choo, man.
Well,
but yeah,
I don't believe that, dude. You're rocking and rolling. You got great content as well. You got hot seat, and when that show's on it in the evening, right?
Yeah, we'll start. I'll start tomorrow. We'll run Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday because I do some stuff for our local church here. So I save Mondays to do like editing and stuff for our church here. But I'll run Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5 p.m. God's time.
Right on.
I'm looking forward to the first show. So it's kind of like what we're doing this morning with Dear America and what we're doing right now with you. Like, my God, man, what did we miss?
I'm telling you, brother, there was so much that went on. But I will tell you, breaking news: Donald Trump has been he's been confirmed. The vote has been certified. The building did not implode. Kamala was looking very Kamala-ish. I saw her on the news just a few minutes ago before we jumped on here. And so the Trump train is rolling, baby. The Trump train is rolling. There it is, the crowning of Donald J. Trump.
I love that.
There it is. She's putting the crown on his head. You know that it leaves a bitter taste. But you know, these people, it's amazing how they'll smile at you and stab you in the back. They're not, you know, even Joe Biden doubled down was it today or yesterday? Doubled down on white supremacy being the biggest threat to democracy. Still, they're going to continue doing this stuff. We're all supposed to be at the inauguration. I'm second guessing some things, not out of fear. It's just. I'm listening to the warnings of certain people that are there. I wish Donald Trump was going to take the oath of office in a private place. They would televise it just for safety's sake. But, you know, you can't let the terrorists win, right?
Nope.
You can't operate in fear, you know, but there's a difference between wisdom and you know, that kind of thing and actually operating in fear. But I'm supposed to be in D.C. that entire week, freezing my ass off. And so... it's going to be cold, guys. It's going to be cold.
I got to get a coat or something.
You got to get a big coat.
Born and raised in Florida, I don't really have winter clothes. Except for,
I think Mississippi's preparing me for it because when we woke up this morning, it was actually snowing here.
Yeah.
So, in Mississippi, of all
places. You guys got a mess going on. Well, as promised, I want to get into this topic. Obviously, we saw what happened on New Year's morning on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Woke up to tragedy. It was certified. Again, the FBI came out and said, absolutely, this was a terrorist attack. Initially, I'm always very cautious and careful before we start calling things a terrorist attack, simply because when you start labeling things a terrorist attack, then you wind up with the government stepping in and creating things like the Patriot Act and the TSA and all these precautions where your liberties are taken away. So I'm very cautious when they start calling things a terrorist act. Now, a terroristic act is one thing, but this was a tragic loss of life, 14 people, Bourbon Street. It would have been a lot more if it hadn't been, in the wee hours of the morning, but in like Las Vegas or New York City, Bourbon Street never really sleeps. There were a lot of speculations about this guy's ties to ISIS. You could obviously see on the back of his truck there was what appeared to be an ISIS flag, and I think that was verified as being so. He supposedly declared his dedication to ISIS. This guy was also apparently on the government's list of people to watch. A summer ago, he was already someone that they had put out. He had put out some videos they were paying attention to, that this guy had some sympathies towards ISIS. It's never fails, boys. They're always on the list. They're always on the watch list, and then nothing is ever done about it. And of course, this was a situation where you can't live in fear. I try to be very cautious about where I go. I'm not going to tell that story. You just got to be cautious about where you go.
We are on YouTube.
Yeah,
we're on multiple YouTubes actually.
We are. So we want to be careful and cautious about certain things we say. But it was weird to me, and I want to move on to the Las Vegas thing, and I'm going to kick myself in the ass because this is one of those deals where I keep getting on to people because I keep saying the Las Vegas thing happened, and people immediately swept the New Orleans thing under the rug. And I was like, 14 people lost their lives, innocent people doing nothing wrong, lost their lives with a guy who claimed to have terrorist sympathies towards, an ISIS affiliation. And we kind of moved on past that to talk about the Las Vegas thing. But it was weird to me that we didn't get the manifesto from the Nashville person that went to the Christian school, the Covenant School, and did what they did there. If Steven Crowder had not leaked that manifesto, we still wouldn't have anything on that person. And so many of these other deals that happen with ideologies, we leave those, we're just kind of left in the dark. And so then we have all these conspiracy theories that happen because we're left with a void in our minds, and we rush to fill it with our questions. But it was weird to me because this person who did what they did in New Orleans, I mean, like the next day, there was an independent amateur journalist that was going through his house with a cell phone camera. Did you see that, Todd?
Very strange. Like, very, very, very strange.
Talking about having a setup station for, paraphernalia for making IEDs and explosive devices and things like that. And I thought, this is dadgum weird, man.
Well, and then you had the report where there was 3 of them, then there was 4 of them, now there's none of them, and they were putting bombs all over New Orleans, but then they're not. I'm like, good Lord, what does the word intelligence
that
really
story
mean?
already sounds 10 times more terroristic, I guess, than the Las Vegas thing. So yeah, it is bizarre that was kind of swept under and not talked about the same way.
Now, this was a guy who, and I know right where he lived in Houston. This was a guy who was from Houston. I could take you right to his house, just, about 45 minutes south of where I'm sitting right here. And I could take you to his house. There were people who crossed paths with this guy. Party Foul Steve, who's sitting over there at the production table, he texted me the other day. He said, we're probably going to find out that this guy was disgruntled with his job. His real estate business wasn't doing so good, and he probably was estranged from his kids and all this kind of stuff, and the guy just snapped, right? But they have to, these days, you have to make it as fanciful as you can and however you're going to go out. I mean, I don't know if this was suicide by cop and he was going to take as many people out as he could. There's a lot of questions that are there. And I will tell you this unequivocally, because we titled this show, What Really Happened. Well, here's just a little peek behind the curtain. We don't know. We don't know. Mm-hmm. But we're glad you tuned in so you could watch us pretend to know. So here's my thing, guys. Here's what really happened. Whatever the real story is, you're never going to know it.
Nope.
That's the deal. Las Vegas and the thing in New Orleans, you're never going to know it. You don't know whose bag of cocaine that was in the White House. We can only speculate. You don't know what really happened with Paul Pelosi in the living room at 2:30 in the morning. You don't know what happened with JFK. You don't know what happened with fill in the blank. You don't know. You don't know who's on Epstein's list. you're not going to truly see what the government honestly knows about January 6th, which again, today is January 6th. And I hope Donald Trump does grant clemency to all, the 1,000 people that they say that they're going to do that with.
Every one of them.
Every one of them, please. And so here's the thing. You're never going to know truly what happened. So Todd and Royce and I are going to speculate a little bit. And I'm going to move away from the New Orleans thing, because to me, it seems like that's a little more cut and dried. And I brought up the point that he's from Houston because it's hard to start calling people terrorists when they are natural-born American citizens just because they have a name or a skin color that's different from yours. We don't want to. We're not going to take that route, and no one should. The terrorist act is based on the action alone, not on the name, not on the skin color, not on the ethnicity or anything else. But when you start getting into radical ties and radicalized yourself to violence, then you've got a problem. So again, I'm always just cautious and careful with that word terrorist, right? So Moon Fairy 1968 said, I know whose powder that was. We could speculate. We could probably speculate pretty well.
Well, it's one of two people. It's one of two.
It's one of two people.
One of two people.
It's one of two people. And I promise you, Todd, if you go back and you watch the Bidens up on the mezzanine of the White House that day during that Independence Day celebration, every Biden on the porch had a post-nasal drip, okay? Every one of them. I saw Jill suck back a 4-pound booger. They all had the post-nasal drip. Even Ashley Biden had the sniffles. And then I've seen a lot of interviews where Kamala was grinding her mouth and wiping her nose and all that kind of stuff. And trust me, as you all know, I have a past, and I've learned to recognize certain things. But that's neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. I think, here's my unpopular opinion. I think the thing at Trump Hotel in Las Vegas, I think this was a mentally ill veteran with PTSD dealing with life trauma and crisis who committed suicide. I am the first guy who will jump into the conspiracies, and yes, there's a lot of questions that are here. But at this stage in the game, I'm not going to pursue a conspiracy theory, if you will, because there's simply too many speculations. So until someone changes my mind, I'm going to do something very unusual, and I'm going to say this was simply a guy that committed suicide, and he did it in a fantastical way that was going to get a lot of attention. Todd, what is your opinion on it?
You have to be right. Because, all right, so going back to the New Orleans thing for a second, there's only one thing definitively we know about New Orleans. It could have been prevented. All right, they had the barriers. Right. They didn't put them up. For whatever reason, you're in the middle of a New Year's Eve in one of the largest party cities in the country. Hello,
Yeah.
Right?
And normally those barriers are up, if I'm not mistaken, they're up from 5 p.m. till 5 a.m.
And
every
why
night.
They're not up?
Yeah.
You got me. When you got a 900-year-old golden girl as your police chief, good luck with that.
Yeah.
But this guy in Vegas, all right, if you look at who he is and what he's done and what he's capable of, then you have to understand this can only be a suicide, in my opinion. This is a Master Sergeant, E8, U.S. Army, Special Forces, 18 Zulu, which he was a Special Operations Manager, meaning he trained Special Forces soldiers, organized missions. If this dude wanted, and what they're calling this Cybertruck is a VBID, a vehicle improvised explosive device. All right. If he really wanted to do damage, he could have easily. He wouldn't have picked a tank to use as a bomb. He would have picked a Prius, and there's plenty of stuff that somebody that is trained that well for that long that he could go get at Walmart or the Co-op, and he could have took half that building with him if he wanted to. But there's something we didn't, and Chad, I don't know if you saw this, but there's another piece of this. I saw a picture of this dude this morning, and he was wearing like a T-shirt that had the Ukraine trident on it. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that.
Okay, and it literally, and Royce, you might be able to find it, but it's got Ukraine writing above it. That was like a freedom fighter shirt. So it to me, it's one of two things. It's either A, this dude which we understand that his wife had just left him.
Yeah.
So he went out the way he wanted to go out. Or B, the more scary part is that our own government just radicalized the best we have to offer.
Yeah, that's scary.
I mean,
That's
not
scary.
ISIS, not Al Qaeda. Our own government just radicalized the best we have to offer.
Yeah.
But it's a black T-shirt, Royce.
And I want to say also just kind of a little clerical situation aside from what we're talking about. I know there are those of you who are on the Chad Prather Rumble, and then there's people on the Graham Allen Rumble. The live chat you're seeing on the screen right now, that is from the Dear America. That is Graham Allen's live chat Rumble. So if you're if you're on mine and you're wondering why yours isn't popping up, you can go over to Graham's and do that.
It should be popping up, is it not?
Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it is.
should
But maybe they're all merged.
If you're in Chad's Rumble,
they're all together.
comment Chad.
Yeah, they're all. Steve did it. So yeah, I always want to do what Graham says. Put Chad in the comment section. But here's the thing. I do want you guys to lighten up the chat because that helps the algorithm and it does a great thing. And I'm happy that our statements here, Todd, did exactly what I wanted them to do. Is it stirred up the conversation? It stirred up the conversation because I see a lot of people saying I respectfully disagree.
And that's fine.
And that's fine, but you have to convince me otherwise. That's my thing. Until you show me, and I know there's people who are going to say, well, his ID wasn't burned up. His passport wasn't burned up. Those are things I can't explain away. They could have been in a place. This wasn't a Prius. This wasn't a Ford F-150.
There it is.
There are certain things about those Cybertrucks that this is not a typical domestic vehicle. There are certain things that are there. I mean, that thing blew straight up. I mean,
yeah,
this was
exactly.
This was the best ad for a Tesla Cybertruck. You know, this thing has been touted as being bulletproof. Even Joe Rogan tried to shoot an arrow into it, didn't even hardly make a dent. It blew the trunk straight up. But this thing, by and large, wasn't overly damaged. I mean, a little body work, little rubber cement. This thing's rolling down the road again. Now, again, there's a lot of speculation. Was the person in there alive? We're now seeing the slow motion, different video angle where it looks like his head turns before the explosion. They found a 50 cal, and we're not going to show you the actual video of the explosion because they'll dock us for doing that. But you guys can look at it in your own leisure. You've all seen it at this point. And I remember, I see what David Smith said about the passports at 9/11. I agree with you. The passports at 9/11 that were found on the ground conveniently that were, dropped 110 stories, that was a little suspect out of an airplane, exploding. But this whole deal, here's a Desert Eagle 50 cal. I don't know of any service person that would have a Desert Eagle 50 cal and that would be their deal. Like if you use that to shoot yourself, that's an exploded watermelon right there. There would be not head.
Much left there.
But this is not a typical certainly not a sidearm. But I don't know of anybody, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but I don't know of anybody that's in Special Forces or any service member whatsoever who's toting around a 50 cal, a Desert Eagle. That's a hard gun to shoot. I can tell you that. And
is it even possible to do it with one hand? You know what I'm saying?
It is. They're heavy.
It's heavy, and you got to stick that sucker. You guys can't see it, but you got to stick that sucker way out here like this. You could do it. Party Foul Steve had an interesting thing. He said just take a bottle of Tannerite, put it up against your head, and fire the gun through the Tannerite. That's a lot going on. We're talking, Christmas is carnage, man. That's some brutal stuff going on. But I don't know. I have a lot of questions, just like you do. The email that Sean Ryan read on his show, that the guest had on there, You know, when former and current CIA agents start telling me what happened, I get a little suspect. Now, no disrespect to Sean Ryan. I don't know the man. I have a lot of very close friends who are close friends with him. But they popped this thing up. Sean Ryan had an X Spaces last night where he said this was, we copy and pasted this and then printed that off. I don't know why you would do that, but they were trying to explain away the fact that the subject header was editable. The squiggly lines are in there to show you what is misspelled, and you see the cursor on the left side in the middle of the screen. That would not be there if that was an email that had been sent, okay? And I also believe, I believe that the guy, what's his name, Shoemate, or the guest that was on Sean Ryan's show?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
I think he also is part of a government accountability, military accountability website, which floats a lot of conspiracy theories out there anyway. So when agency guys start telling me what to believe, I'm a little suspect right there. So now I'm at a point where I trust no one. I don't trust anybody on this thing because obviously this was not a sent email. This what you're seeing on the screen right here, that is not a sent email. They claimed it was a sent email. This is not a sent email. It would not have the cursor in the bar. It would not be editable, and it would not be showing the squiggly lines where there was a typo, okay? And I don't know if this guy's pulling a fast one by sharing this with Sean Ryan.
For clicks?
Ryan said, I mean, gosh, you know, you hate to speculate stuff like that, but who knows, Todd?
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, it's like you said in the beginning, like, you could be right, I could be right, everybody in the comment section could be right, every one of us could be right here.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, and talking about people raising hell about, well, the military ID wasn't burned. All right, let me just tell you something about a cat card. All right, if that cat card is in your wallet, first of all, you need a pair of kitchen shears to cut a cat card in half.
It's true.
All right, or a pair of tin snips. All right, so that's not as, now a passport, I don't know. But a cat card, that's a pretty tough little dude right there. I carried one for 17 and a half years. But this guy was Special Forces, 18 Zulu, Master Sergeant E8, on his way to retirement. I cannot not believe that the way this was carried out was intentional. Why? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Why he did it? I have no idea. No clue.
No clue. And I know that at the beginning of the email, it says, first of all, I had a 2008 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. I don't think anybody has verified that. Nobody in the family, even his parents, have never had a 2006 black Ford Mustang registered to them. And again, this stuff changes. I mean, every moment there's more information that's coming out. But I know, as of yesterday, I was reading that they never were able to verify that. That could have been some kind of a getting behind some kind of wall, security wall or technology. Maybe he was using a code when he said that. I don't know. But the issue that I have with all of this stuff is, here's a guy who claims to be headed for the border, right? He wants to get across to Mexico. And if you look at where he went, where they tracked that Cybertruck, he wasn't headed to Mexico. I mean, it was like San Diego and then up to Denver and then all the way back. And this was a guy who meandered around, a big smiley face across the western part of the country. And and it shows all the places where he stopped to charge the thing up. I mean, Todd, if I had to stop and charge an electric car up every 300 miles, I'd probably shoot myself too.
Yeah, for real.
But I'm sitting there thinking, here was a guy that when the security cameras caught him walking around out there at the charging stations, this does not look like a guy who was worried for his life. When he stopped at fast food restaurants and, there was security footage, that didn't look like a guy who's running from anybody. And if you are running from the feds, you're not going to keep the tracking turned on the Cybertruck.
And you're not going to pick a Cybertruck for one.
Right.
I'm going to get a 1985 Gremlin,
Bingo.
Something that nobody can track.
Bingo.
But and the thing that one of the many things that's aggravating me about this particular story, Chad, is that they keep coming out and saying, well, his dad said he voted Republican and that he loved President Trump and yada yada. From personal experience, when it comes soldier to soldier, and I know there's a lot of veterans that watch Chad, there's a lot of veterans that watch me. One thing we're very good at, veterans, is showing you this, but you have no idea what's going on behind the eyes.
True.
So there's absolutely, looking at the camera footage, watching this guy walk around his truck, what his parents say, what his wife says, what his fellow soldiers say, there's absolutely no way, and I mean no way, to tell what was going on in this guy's head. There's no there's no way to tell it.
What blows my mind, though, already, just kind of off topic, but you were just talking about, Chad, how we've seen footage of him stopping at every single Charger and gas station and fast food, and we can see exactly where he drove and all this stuff. But we still know absolutely nothing about Ryan Ruth, this kid who shot Trump, or this other assassination. Like, this guy, I don't know what we're speculating his deal and why he did what he did, whether it was depression or he had something in mind. But we know exactly what this dude was doing up until. We know nothing about these other guys. Like, that should just go to show that was those, like Ryan Ruth, it's all covered up. It's all covered up. It's all smeared away, because we know every little movement that this guy made. And it wasn't an attack on the president. It wasn't anything along those lines. It was kind of a random, bizarre, from what it sounds like, weird little case. So.
Yeah, it's very weird. And we'll speculate forever. And again, we may never know. What I would like to have happen is this guy show up.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? Just call in right now.
And I would like for this guy to show up and be like, okay, I'm down here in XYZ Mexico. I'm in Chihuahua, and I'm alive. And then we could get to the bottom of this thing. And I know there's people who say, okay, well, maybe he was faking his own death, and he maybe found a dead homeless person and put him in the truck, and the truck drove itself up there. From what I've read, the summons capability doesn't exist on the Cybertruck yet. So, like my buddy K-Dub, Kevin Wade, with his Tesla, we're standing in the parking lot. He can hit the deal, and the Tesla will drive over to him, right, without a driver in there. But he's got to be watching it. And the whole thing, it'll come over there to him. I don't think the Cybertruck has that technology. They're about to put it in there. They're working on that, but the Cybertruck doesn't have that technology yet. And you have to be aware. Like there are sensors in there. Like your car's not going to drive by itself unless you're looking up. Like you can't be sitting on your phone or your head down reading.
You have to have a hand on the steering wheel too.
And you can take this hand off for a little while, but you got to it's going to ask you to put it back on there. Like I have an automobile that has a self-driving capability, and every now and then that thing is going to tell me, "Hey, you gotta be with us, all right." And I also don't trust it to go up and parallel park at the valet station in front of the hotel. So someone can correct me on that, but I don't think the Cybertruck has that capability yet. Yes, it's got the self-driving aspect, like if you're in it, where it can, detect your vitals and things like that. You're engaged with it. But I don't think it has that summons capability. And again, if so, where is he? If you just got a lifeless body in there, whose head was that turned at the moment before the explosion? Did this guy try to fake a death and then get away with it? I don't know who the poor schmuck in the car was, but in my case, I hope that I hope he got away. Like, I hope he's alive and we find out something. Why was in front of you have more questions than you have answers at this stage. Why was he in front of the Trump hotel? A lot of people say he was trying to send a message to Elon and to Trump. This was some kind of terrorist event or some kind of deal like that. It was coincidental.
That's what it looks like. Cybertruck in front of Trump Tower. It's pretty wide.
It was immediately what I thought. It was immediately what I thought, especially after the Bourbon Street attack. And but again, his parents come out and some of his social media stuff come out and say, no, this guy was pro-Trump. He was, pro-conservative, all this stuff. His wife apparently had just left him. They did a DNA, allegedly did a DNA test. That I'm going to do a podcast one day. Just the name of it's going to be allegedly with Chad Prather.
Man, we'd make a killing on that.
Just call it
say
allegedly.
Whatever you want at that point.
Yeah, anything. It's in the title, literally in
Rumble
the title.
only.
But I'm going. I'm sitting there thinking. I'm sitting there thinking. They said the DNA doesn't match the newborn. Well, I can explain that away too. I mean, if his wife just left him, maybe she's stepping out allegedly. and it wasn't even his kid. I mean, if we're really going to speculate, maybe it wasn't even his child. Maybe that was the reason there was a rift in the relationship or the divorce or whatever. So I just have a lot of questions. Todd, you asked me this morning on Dear America, you said, what do I think the best scenario would be? And I said that the guy tragically killed himself. The best scenario is he's still alive. He did fake it.
Yeah.
There is a message behind it. There is something. And again, there's technology mentioned in the email that doesn't exist. It's been proven.
That's science fiction.
Yeah, I mean, it's been proven over and over again that it's not, capable. They've tested it. It's not that gravitic or whatever technology,
and the war
propulsion
crimes and all that stuff in the email too.
So there's a lot of stuff that was there, and then of course Sean Ryan grabs his family. They go into hiding. They're doing their thing, and I'm just saying, all I'm issuing is this caution, because we're chasing all of these conspiracies and these ideas and these speculations, and we tend to forget and brush under the rug that a guy who was supposedly an ISIS sympathizer murdered 14 people versus a guy who either killed himself or faked his death. Either way, the thing in New Orleans scares me far worse at this stage. Now, if all this stuff proves true and we are on the verge of World War III and this guy's trying to, open up people's eyes and expose it, I'll tell you this, he left more questions than he left answers. And if he was trying to send a warning, he kind of did a crappy job.
Woo, man.
I think I could have been a lot more clear.
Swinging a hockey stick on a baseball field.
So I just, and I respect everybody. I'm reading some of the comments here. I've got the screen in front of me. I always respect what Striker Jay has to say in regards to this. And I'm not a subject matter expert when it comes to blowing things up. To your point, had he wanted to, I'm not going to, again, I'm not going to get into the speculation of the conspiracies about Timothy McVeigh and the Murrah building, the federal building in Oklahoma City in 1994, was that? And that's 4,800 pounds of fertilizer. Obviously, you're not going to fit that in a Gremlin or a Cybertruck. But anybody who wants to do something like that could do some major, major damage. So I just, at this stage, have a lot more questions. And again, I am somebody who is deeply read in on the MK Ultra stuff. I do not believe they ended that deal in the 70s. I believe it is still active. Both of these guys were at Fort Bragg, which again doesn't tell me a whole lot. 60,000 service members have passed through Fort Bragg. But that is a behavioral and psychological science testing lab there, apparently. So for everything that's a conspiracy, I can give you a logical something over here, and for every logical thing that's over here, I can give you a conspiracy.
It's a Yahtzee dice roll. That's what it is. You got 6 dice, and any combination could be right at this point, anything. But I'm with you when I say I care more about the New Orleans thing than, now don't get me wrong, loss of life of a fellow service member.
Sure.
Any loss of life for that matter is never a good thing. But why are we not focused on the New Orleans thing? And
didn't 14 people die in New Orleans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you what pisses me off about this New Orleans thing is how the media and the left and the right reacted to this, because Trump initially came out and it was an illegal blah 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 blah. Well, it turns out it wasn't illegal. Dude born in Texas or whatever, yada yada yada. So the left starts attacking him, and then the right turns around and goes, well, he donated $15 to Act Blue. And I'm
they
like,
always do.
I'm like, how about he killed innocent people? Why don't we start there? And who gives a damn where he's from, where he was born, if he was here legal or illegal, or who he donated to? He killed innocent people, had an ISIS flag. Why don't we worry about that?
Yeah. And that's the concerning thing for me. And that's been the concerning thing this past week, is how we kind of brushed that under the rug and we moved on. And when you consider whether they're born on American soil or they're here illegally, I mean, I'll just remind everybody, we have more military-age male illegals in this country than we have active duty military in this country. That should scare the piss out of literally everybody that's here. I got adult children, man, and they travel and and they're in and out of cities, and I worry about them. I worry about me. I mean, I don't walk in fear, but I also don't spend a lot of time just running around hodgepodge in downtown Houston.
That's why I keep telling you, you got to take me on tour with you, just in the background, you know.
Yeah, you can carry that 50 cal Desert Eagle
In a
out there,
heartbeat,
man.
my brother, in a
we can
heartbeat.
bust open some watermelons. I mean, if anybody's ever fired one of those things, and I have, like I was doing some shooting videos a couple of years ago, and we were doing some content for, you know, whatever, and somebody pulled out a Desert Eagle, and I set up a Miller Lite can full of beer, and it was about 5 feet away from me. And I'll be honest with you, I couldn't hit the damn thing. I couldn't hit it.
Not with that, no.
I mean, I was trying to shoot a Miller Lite can from 6 feet, 7 feet away, and buddy, I dug a trench getting to it, but I couldn't shoot the thing.
I've never shot a Desert Eagle, and you want to know why? Because I shot a Barrett and about separated my shoulder, and I was like, nah. I'm not
Desert
shooting.
Eagle, it's just too hard to control. Is that
Dude,
it's too much power?
It's heavy?
It's this
Yeah,
long.
no, I've seen them, but
Like,
it's
no.
It's
No.
heavy. The recoil on it is severe. If you're not holding on to that thing, you can knock yourself out with it.
Quick.
I mean, it's going to pop up. I mean, I've got a couple of firearms that aren't fun to shoot, right? Like I've got a 357 Magnum Ladysmith. When I bought that Smith & Wesson, the guy at the gun store says, he said, "Do you want this? It says Ladysmith on the side of it." I said, "It's a 357 Magnum. I don't care what it says.
For real.
I want it for the. I like the.
For all
I like
care.
the size profile. I mean, it was tiny. I said, I don't care if it says lady on there. If it does as much damage as all the ladies I've ever had in my life, then you know what? Bag it up.
Yeah.
Run my ID, Daddy. I'm
Who's
taking
gonna
it home
feel
with
worse,
me.
you or the guy that got shot by the
No.
lady?
Kidding. But like, that's not a fun gun to shoot. There are guns that are fun to shoot, and then there's some that just aren't because they're painful. They hurt your wrist, or they kick back the recoil. You got to be careful. So there's a lot of speculations, dude. There just is. But at this stage in the game, until I see something out there that says this is unequivocal proof, I'm going to stand with that unpopular opinion. I'm going to say this guy drove up and committed suicide. Yep. He had the thing rigged to he knew what he was doing in a Cybertruck. He had the thing rigged to, again, I just don't, I was talking to my buddy Matt Murphy, who was a Green Beret sniper, and he is deep with information in the intelligence community. He's got a lot of connections that are there. And I just said, dude, this just doesn't sound to me. Part of me, the speculative conspiracy side of me said, this is not the way a special forces guy goes out. Like you don't clap out this way, right? So that was curious up front. Then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, well, as we get more questions than we do answers, I just have to believe that this guy just picked, again, a fantastical way, a very attention-getting way to take himself out. And it's a sad, sad deal either way.
Yeah.
And it's I can remember the day after, maybe 2 days after 9/11, and I was thinking fundamentally in my spirit something had changed in our country. Like I can remember being in a Home Depot, walking through, I was picking something up, and I just had that heaviness in me, and I was like, something has fundamentally changed. Almost a spiritual thing has changed in our country. I felt like that for the last week. I was like, we are under attack. Regardless, we're just under this attack. People are, the mental illness that's out there, the stuff being paraded around as normalcy, like you said, Todd, people who put on a straight face and inside you don't know what all's going on with them. The speculation of what our government does that's nefarious. Now they've got the quademic that they've already brought back the mask mandates in California. They're going to try to do that everywhere. They're calling it the quademic. So now you could blow your nose and poop your pants at the same time. And, cough up a lung and your hair will fall out and you'll get shingles. I don't freaking know, but they just want to push more blah, blah jab juice inside of you. And to me, that's just disgusting. So they're trying to do all those things. We got drones that suddenly disappeared. Nobody's asking about the freaking drones anymore.
Yeah, they just disappear. I'm telling you, 2024 year in review, the only thing 2024 did for me was it turned me into Morpheus from The Matrix. I question everything now. Everything. If I see the Transformers remake on TV, I'm going to be like, why?
Yeah. And I tell everybody, I don't trust anybody. I saw some people in the live chat. Don't trust anybody. I don't trust Sean Ryan. I don't trust my mama at this stage in the game. My mama makes stuff up just because it sounds right. I've seen her do it, man. I've seen her do it.
Chad, you know your mom watches the show, man. What you
She's why
doing?
she knows I'm calling her out on her lies.
Ooh, you in trouble.
I ain't doing that because Mike Spears walk up in this studio.
She'll call you. She'll walk up to the barn and call you mule out. But let me tell you, I don't know, man. It's a crazy thing, crazy world we're living in, folks. You got to keep your head on a swivel, man. And I like the conversation. I mean, I pissed a lot of people off on X the other day when I said, here's the unpopular opinion, and I said what I said. I think this was a guy that needed some mental help, and he 86'd himself. And that's the way he went out. And a lot of people were like, well, you got the right to be wrong. I was like, no joke. I mean, I do. I always reserve the right to be wrong. But in this case, I'm not going to go chasing the conspiracies. I think in some ways it's disrespectful. But again, it's not necessarily disrespectful so much as I want to. This was a service member. But we do need to get to the bottom of these things, right? We do need to ask these questions. And what I like to do is stir the pot, instigate things, and get people talking. And so if I have to take the unpopular opinion to get people asking further questions, then that's fine.
Well, and you said something there just a couple short words ago that I'm gonna give you 100% permission. Just because it's a service member, Chad, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong.
Right.
All right. If it's just because this is a service member doesn't mean we need to walk on eggshells and treat it with kid gloves. No, we need to get in there and figure out what the hell's going on.
True.
You know, because think of it like this: what if we don't? And this is like a cancer that is going on in the DOD right now. And do you really want 20, 30 active duty members being radicalized?
No,
you don't want that on your bingo card.
no.
All right, not guys like that. You don't.
No.
So no.
Because those guys are killers. I mean, you know, and they're trained to be killers. They're warriors. And I've run in some circles with folks that I consider to be my friends, who are those guys. You know, they're either Delta operators or they're tip of the spear guys. I mean, they're spec ops. They're Navy SEALs. I mean, they're the guys that have been. You know, I always joke about my buddy Clint Emerson. I said, yeah, the DOD used to drop you off on the beach, you know, in your underwear and a knife between your teeth, and God knows who you stuck in the throat and then got back on the boat. and I mean, he's that kind of guy. These dudes scare me. Like when Clint Emerson, we were having lunch one day, and he said, well, yeah, I'm not really a gun guy. I'm more of a blade guy. That scares the piss out of me right there when somebody says that, because I don't know how many people I don't know how many hogs they done stuck, but I guarantee it's a lot of them. So, you know, I want people to disagree with me. I want you to disagree with me. I want you to investigate. I want you to ask the questions. I'm willing to be, I got thick enough skin that I'm willing to be wrong, right? And I want people to prove me wrong. That's where I'm at. But to come out and say, here we got this email and this is what we're coming, this is the conclusion we're coming to, this is what's going on, just doesn't pass the smell test for me yet.
Not at all.
Not yet.
At all. And just to give folks in the chat and folks that are watching on different platforms right now, this is the reason why it makes me so nervous, because you've got a redneck from Mississippi. All right, I wasn't anything special. I was just a medic in the Army. You got a redneck from Mississippi and a cowboy from Texas that if we wanted to, I could have took out the bottom floor of that building.
Yeah,
all right, with just the knowledge that I have. And this dude was a professional killer.
Yeah.
That's why we've got to figure this out.
Yeah, and it definitely wasn't, in regards to that, it wasn't a terrorist hit, right?
Not at all.
Because it was something else. It was sending a message or a suicide. I think we can narrow it down to that. You're either sending some kind of message or you're committing suicide, and at the same time, you're creating, again, I don't know that you're creating that good of a message when you're creating more questions than you are answers, but... anyway, you know what we got to do? This is what I always want to say. You know, whether it's Sean Ryan with millions of people listening to it or anything, where they're like, okay, we're going to read this thing. We're on the verge of World War III. Now, let me tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company. You know, like it's like you guys got to remember this is still a podcast. Like we can put some information out there, but at the end of the day, these guys they got to pay the bills. And speaking of the Wellness Company, I want you guys to check them out. twc.health/Chad. They got the contagion kits, they got the medical kits, they got the children's kits, which has got all the prescription stuff in there, but in like a chewable form or the stuff that's more palatable to the kids. Go over there and check them out. We made a deal this morning on Dear America. We said, For everybody that goes out today and buys a wellness kit, it has your prescriptions in there. You can get your add-ons like your ivermectin, the stuff they used to tell you, you shouldn't have that stuff. We got penalized for even saying the word ivermectin. The stuff that fights those spike proteins, all those. But let's say your amoxicillins and your, those kind of things that help with your, not only your viral stuff, but your nausea stuff and all that. This comes with that. And if the pharmacies are suddenly shut down or there's something else that comes along and, the shelves are bare again, guess what? Even if shipping is halted, all those pharmaceuticals come from China. You need to make sure you have that on hand for emergency preparedness. And Graham and I made an agreement this morning. We said, I'll tell you what, we're going to pick 2 people. I'll pick 2. You pick 2. We're going to pay you $1,000 each randomly. We're going to pick a couple of people, $1,000 each if you buy from the Wellness Company today. Use my promo code twc.health/Chad, and you can even get a discount if you use promo code Prather, Prather. So check them out, the Wellness Company, and let's rock and roll. Boy, there's a lot going on, man. Quademic.
I have a question.
Yep.
Yeah.
We spent the beginning part of the show talking about New Orleans and why nobody's paying attention to it, and spent the rest of the show talking about
That's right.
Vegas.
That's
Did
right.
they get us? Did they get us? Did we spend the whole show talking about Vegas and not New Orleans?
That's why I said, if a few minutes in, I said, I'm going to do the thing that I keep getting on to everybody for doing.
Yeah.
And I did it. And then we took off and we talked about Vegas. I said I was self-condemning in that regard because I said, I'm going to do what I keep getting mad at everybody else for doing.
It's bizarre, but it is a more chattable topic.
It is.
Because of the political nature around it. The Cybertruck and the Trump Tower and the bomb explosion versus, just driving through a crowd. It's more dramatic. Like you said, it's a fantastical, kind of way to go. And so the reality is this guy did make it more interesting, as sad as it is to say, at least for modern culture. It's more interesting to talk about that than the more devastating and honestly, more concerning scenario that happened in New Orleans. And they got us. They got us.
Well, and the reason is, and I've known Chad for a few months now, and one thing I picked up really quick is me and Chad are alike in this. Our equation has to balance. I don't know what algebra it is, but you do the whole problem, and this side has to equal this side. Well, the New Orleans thing, that equation balances. We get what's going on there. This right here, there's numerous possibilities, and that's what we're going to focus on because it drives us crazy. Like the why. Why is this happening? What is going on here? I agree. I got nothing, man.
I agree, and that's where conspiracy theories come from. Is when you get so much information, and then you stop getting the information, and when that runs out, there's an information void, and your questions and your thoughts and opinions and insights start to rush to fill that, and you start coming up with your theories on what happened. I'm interested to see where this thing lands. I really am. At this stage, I'm going to focus more on. And let me kind of put a bow on top of it and kind of draw this thing up and do a takeaway, because at the end of the day, I'm more interested in today, January 6th, with the certification of the election. That's a huge hurdle that we managed to get past. Now we got to get to January 20th. We got to get this inauguration happen. And we've got to see what executive actions Donald Trump's going to take. So I'm praying, guys. I'm praying every day. My morning prayer this morning, I posted it on Facebook, posted it on X, was for peaceful transition, that we could come back to some kind of place of unity. I don't even know if unity is possible anymore for us in this country, but I want us to have just a supernatural grace in this transition that happens, because I wish I could say that what happened in New Orleans isn't going to happen again. But we all know it is. We all know that casual disregard for human life and that expression of man's inhumanity to man in the form of absolute butchery that happens in mentally ill people, it's going to happen again. The March for Life is coming up in Washington, D.C. There's tons of galas and events that are going to be happening in the next couple of weeks in Washington. I'm supposed to be in Washington, D.C. for the entire week. You got the inauguration that's happening. Trump is throwing another, whatever you want to call it, rally the day before. I don't know why he's doing
Super
that.
Bowls, college football championships.
You got college, you got this.
opportunity.
Yeah. And so they're putting out some pretty dire warnings out there for getting together at concerts. And, I think of 6th Street in Austin. That would be like there's even less security on 6th Street in Austin. I mean, you could mow right down the middle of that. I don't want to be giving people ideas. I mean, there's some crazy people out there, but it's there's
Good job, Chad.
I mean, if you have a little bit of a sociopath mind like I tend to have, I could see a lot of weird scenarios out there in the world where people make themselves easy targets. Now, if this guy in Vegas did what people are speculating he did, now that's some real Jason Bourne-ish stuff going on there. That's some pretty deep roots in terms of psyops, but I'm not saying it couldn't happen. But the New Orleans thing concerns me because this could happen to our kids. This could happen to... I'm telling everybody all the time. I'm like, listen, it's one thing to be aware of drunk drivers and don't drive drunk and doing the stupid things that people do to kill themselves, and the Darwin Award takes over. But now you have people who are here and they actively hate your guts. They want you eradicated, and you've got this talk of mass deportations and getting people out of the country. When the government cheese dries up, people get violent. When there's a threat of the deportation and the thing that they've gotten accustomed to. I mean, these people walked. Some of them came. I mean, Chinese nationals. There's no wormhole that just warps people from Beijing to Juarez, Mexico. Those people got here from these Chinese nationals coming across the southern border. They got here somehow. And that ain't an easy walk. I don't know if you guys have crossed the Pacific Ocean, but it's a long walk. And they don't just want to be deported, and so there could be some violent reactions to that. Add in the mental illness that's going on. I said 25 years ago we're moving into a postmodern age where feelings are going to be more important than facts, and emotions are going to be more important than qualitative and quantitative truth. There are going to be people who are going to feel their way into acting rather than vice versa. I said 25 years ago that it's going to be hard to define people's identity. They're going to have problems with their gender and their sexuality, and it's going to be very confusing. And I said, and now 25 years, I've prophesied, and 25 years later, it's all coming true. So we have a very confused populace. We got a very weird society right now. People don't have empirical truth. They don't have spiritual truth. They don't have anything to hold on to. There's no foundations. All that's been eroded, been taken away. It's been persecuted, and people have just lost their freaking minds.
Yes.
They've lost their freaking minds. So it's a scary world we're living in. And I will tell you some folks that do know the truth, and that's our friends over at Patriot Mobile, patriotmobile.com/Chad. Go over there and check them out. If you want to be a customer of America's only Christian conservative wireless cell phone provider that uses all of the same cell towers as the big three, so your coverage will always be perfect and intact, head over there at patriotmobile.com/Chad or call them up at 972-PATRIOT. Tell them that I sent you, and I bet you they'll give you a free activation. They'll get you a new number. You can keep your old number. They'll get you a new phone. You can keep your old phone, whatever you need. They will tailor a service to fit your needs, and they will take care of you. They believe in your First Amendment rights, your Second Amendment rights. They believe in the right to life, and unlike the other big cell phone companies out there, they are not sending a portion of your hard-earned money when you pay your bill to these nefarious progressive programs and stuff like Planned Parenthood and all this other junk that's out there. So go visit with Glenn and my friends over at patriotmobile.com/Chad. They got deals going all the time, and I guarantee you they got a New Year deal going on just for you.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, the best thing about Patriot Mobile is when you call them, you don't talk to you talk to Sarah from Oklahoma, who sounds like me. That's the best thing about Patriot Mobile.
I love it. Royce, we have got to get my camera and my lighting fixed. I feel like I'm glitching over and over again. Look how tired Royce looks. Look at those
That
poor
man,
baby.
that
I'm not gonna
baby
lie.
face, dude.
I've been up since 4 a.m. So I am a
Yeah,
little bit
you've been
tired.
working hard, dude. So we're gonna jump off of here. Todd, tell everybody all the places they can find you, my
Yeah,
brother.
absolutely. My handle is the same everywhere. It's Todd Spears 1776 on all platforms, and you can catch me tomorrow here on the Dear America Network, only on Rumble because I'm loose-lipped. So you can catch me at 5 God's time here tomorrow for the grand start of my show. Look, as Chad has been saying the whole show, stay vigilant, keep your head on a swivel, do not live in fear, but remember, to be absent from the body is to be present with God.
That's right. That's right. I literally just left a funeral. Just an hour ago, I was at a funeral. Those of you who know me know CJ. CJ's grandmother, Barbara, passed away. Mimi passed away, 85 years of age. So God rest her and God bless her. She knew the Lord, loved the Lord, and she was a sweet, sweet lady. And it was the Lord was so merciful in not only her life but in her passing. And so it's a great celebration of life over there. But you're right, Todd. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And I love that last phrase in Psalm 23. I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever, man. And, that Psalm 23 is one you guys might want to gravitate over towards because right now we do need a good shepherd, and you need to make him personal and not just say he is a shepherd or he is the shepherd. He needs to be my shepherd. You got to make that pronoun personal and it makes all the difference in the world in how you approach this crazy, tragic world we live in. So
That's a
fallen.
fact.
Royce over on X at Royce Chamberlain. Brother, you got to get some sleep. You've been working, I got to give you a huge shout out, dude. We've been working our butts off trying to get this Dear America Media thing put together. Todd, King's Council's another show that's going to be on once a week. My good friend Brianna Morello is going to be on. Megan, how do you say her last name? Duthie?
Megamoo.
I forget.
Megamoo.
Megan,
I
bless
just call
her.
her Megamoo.
She's new to me. We're getting to know each other. We've been visiting a little bit, but she's got some great fun content. She's coming along. And of course, Graham's show, Todd's show, Hot Seat. And who knows? They got the new show coming out with Tony and Graham.
As I was saying.
As I was saying.
That's going to be a
Ken
good
Tony.
one.
It's good stuff. And so a lot of people have been looking for Tony. They were like, oh my God, they got rid of Tony for Chad. We got mass deportations really do happen. But that's something Tony wanted. Let's be clear. Tony wanted to do something different. And it was what he wanted. So that's what he got. And we got to get these guys confirmed. Cash Patel, Tom Holman,
Pete,
Christy
please,
Noam, Pete Hegseth, all those guys. I mean, at this stage, Graham would be screaming at you, telling you to fill up the chat with Pete. Filling up the chat ain't necessarily something I'm going to be screaming at you, but we'll do it every morning. We'll do it every morning.
We'll do it in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I will tell you guys that I will be at Louisville Comedy Club, weather permitting, and I believe the weather's going to permit. Thursday, Friday, Saturday night of this week. And then I'm in Fredericksburg, Texas next week. And then we're in Granbury, Waco, Austin, Texas. Got a lot of shows coming up this weekend on the
Can't wait
weekend.
till April, man. You're coming
Come on,
to Panama,
Panama
City. I'll
City.
be there, dude. I'm
Come
telling
on.
you. Me and the wife
we're
are
gonna party,
coming.
dude.
Dude,
We're going to be at
it's
Panama
on.
City in
It's
April. That's
on.
when the weather gets nice.
I know, man.
I'm going to find me some college girls and witness to the
I'm going to the
about
gym
Lord.
every day just preparing.
I'm gonna find me girls in bikinis. We're gonna find the girls gone wild, and we're gonna turn them into Jesus lovers, because I'm a converted soul. And here come the hate messages. Go to where podcasts are offered. Find the Chad Prather Show and leave us a 5-star review and or 5-star rating. It's what we deserve, and a review. Smash the like button. Click, share, like, all the good stuff. I love you guys so much. Todd, thanks for jumping on with us today.
Man.
That was
Anytime.
perfect, man.
It's fun.
And Royce, get some rest. And for the rest of you guys, go to watchchad.com. That's where all the fun stuff is. Check out the live schedule. And this week, if all things hold up, a brand new song by yours truly. It's a fantastic
Hello.
new song called What Happened to That. I'm so proud of this song. And it is a message for our times. If you haven't heard "Watered Down," that got up in the top 20 in the country music charts, go get "Watered Down." Me and John Rich, and then. But what happened to that? I'm so excited about this song, and it's supposed to come out on the 8th. So fingers crossed, it will. In the meantime, I love you. God bless you. We will talk to you tomorrow. Check us out as well on Dear America at 9, 8 Central tomorrow morning. We'll see you there. Bye.